A lot of people watched it, but nobody's watching day to day, all day, unless you're me and just love this stuff. Procedures are okay, but we want to know, where do you stand? And so I think the more that politicians stop trying to be politicians and be people, then that will engage voters.
We reject alternative facts, so come on in here and let me educate you on the facts. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Daily Political Briefing. It's me, your host, QuentinRJiles, your political best friend. So you have to call me Q. That's only if we're going to be friends. I only hold that to the people that I'm going to be friends with. Thank you all so much for being here. Another day in the Derek Chauvin trial. You know, that's what we have exclusively been focusing on these past 3 weeks. So thank you for being here. You could be anywhere else to get your information, but you have decided to be here tonight. And guys, it's going to be another quick show because, I mean, today in court, it happened like that fast. It was super quick. But before I do that, let me just shout out some people I see in the comments. Hey, Kelly Mars, Jay Single, Lakeisha Lee, Joanne Roan, Keona Williams. I see some people down there on the Facebook, Tiffany Felder and Alice Greenwood and my friend Chloe. Hey, Chloe Thomas. Everybody's here. Everybody. Hey. How y'all doing? So let's get into the court case of today. We saw the defense rest early this morning. They rested, which their case, I guess you could say their case was made fairly simple. They only really had about 2 to 3 witnesses, maybe 4 if I'm counting really quickly in my head, but about 2 days of the defense for Derek Chauvin going and trying to get him to essentially not go to jail. So the defense rested, and today the prosecution decided to call Dr. Tubin back up there to ask him some questions. Now, it was a little courtroom drama, a little bit of drama. The drama that happened earlier was prior to the jury coming into the courtroom earlier today. The prosecution said that they had this new evidence that came from basically the coroner's office. So yesterday, what we saw from the defense's witness, that witness testified that not that George Floyd died from carbon monoxide poisoning because his face was by the exhaust pipe, but that there could have been some carbon monoxide in his system because of where his head was positioned, and that could have contributed to his death, again, making the case that it was everything but the knee of Derek Chauvin on George Floyd's neck. So that was yesterday, where the prosecution came in today and was like, oh, hey, by the way, the coroner's office basically said, hey, we actually did do that test, and we saw that George Floyd's carbon monoxide levels were normal. Now, everybody that's watching the case, heard this. The jury, theoretically, did not and will not. They weren't in the courtroom at the time. Now, they are supposed to not be consuming media as well, right? So we're basing it off the assumption that they didn't watch a recap of the trial or what happened in the trial when they weren't there, based on good faith. It's sequestered right now. So essentially they could go home and do anything that they wanted to. So based on good faith, we're gonna assume that they did not hear that as well, that they haven't heard that by now. So the prosecution was trying to get that evidence in basically to rebut or to impeach the previous witness's testimony. Now, the judge got upset, and rightfully so. The judge was a little ticked off because it was like, wait a minute, you mean to tell me that wasn't included in the evidence because the coroner's office was subpoenaed? So they should have sent all these things in. Lakeisha Lee, I see your super comment. I'm gonna get to it in a second after I finish this story. So they should have sent all these things in. So why are you just now getting it? It would be prejudicial, meaning it would basically have this adverse reaction to the defendant. And although we can feel how we want to feel about Derek Chauvin and what we saw, we have to continue to watch this in the context of a court case, right? And so they should have had this already. They should have had this in the file. And so now all of a sudden this document pops up. The judge says he didn't believe it was in bad faith of the prosecutor's office, but that somebody probably needs to look at basically the coroner's office because they were all subpoenaed. So why is this just now coming up, right? I give total deference to the judge in that aspect because that's the same question I would have. Why did y'all have this before? Y'all already subpoenaed them. So just to be fair, it would be unfair to try to do this now that we're basically in closing basically almost in closing arguments. Y'all should have been had this. Y'all knew y'all had it, right? You're supposed to be bringing the case. This should have been a part of the case file. So the judge said, no, man, Pam, do not, you can't bring it up. And if you do bring it up when the jury get in here, I'm gonna declare a mistrial. Very, very direct, very much I'm gonna let this man go if you bring this up. So, okay, all right. Then they take a little break. The state calls Dr. Tubin back up there. I mean, not even 5 minutes into the testimony, not even 5 minutes, Dr. Tubin basically kind of references the report, and then there's a sidebar. Now, I clutch all my pearls because I was like, oh my gosh, the judge just said don't do that. He literally just said don't do that, or he will declare a mistrial. Mistrial meaning he gonna say, no, dear, go home. Y'all have to retry the case again because of the impropriety or the shenanigans, if you will. So I'm like, oh my goodness, is a mistrial about to happen? We didn't sat here for 3 weeks. Please don't tell me it's going to be a mistrial based on this when the judge just told them do not go down the road of that report. There wasn't a mistrial. Judge let them, rephrase the question. And then they basically was done questioning Dr. Tubin within 2 questions, I suspect, because they didn't want to get into tricky waters and accidentally stumble upon it, because I would think to Dr. Tubin being a doctor, he probably just naturally wanted to talk about the report, right? Because that's the medical data that goes towards or gives legitimacy to his testimony. So that was there. The defense cross-examined him, asked about 2 to 3 questions, and then that was it. We were done with court maybe 2 hours before it started. And so both sides rested their case. And so the judge didn't want to subpoena the jury over the weekend and said, basically we'll have closing arguments on Monday and then the jury will be sequestered. So essentially, I'm not going to say the trial is over, but the presentation of the trial is pretty much over. On Monday, we're going to have closing arguments, which that does not include witnesses. That's literally the prosecution and the defense making their final case to the jury, but that's the lawyers themselves presenting that. And then the jury will be sequestered. And so, they could take 10 minutes, 10 days, 10 weeks. They could take all the time they want as the jury. So we'll just stay up to date on that. Let me bring Lakeisha Lee's comment up. Excuse me. I thought it came up. Okay, there we go. Lakeisha said, hi, Q. Thank you for the info. Keeping it real and motivated. Now, when this trial is over, baby, we got some things to unpack. Baby, you ain't lying. You ain't lying, Lakeisha Lee. I'm going to have to take a week off because I have seen some of the shenanigans in the background that has been happening. I'm like, no, I'm staying focused on the trial. I can't get too distracted and because it's so much happening right now. You are not lying, Lakeisha. Absolutely so much happening right now. So I'm keeping a little bit of update because I'm posting on the Instagram and stuff like that. But you are right. But just know after this trial over, yeah, I'm probably gonna take a little vacation because I just got to, baby, I got to reset. I have to reset. It's so much going on. It's just so much. It's too rich. It's too rich. Too rich. So Susie Wallace says she held her breath. Yeah, I thought it was going to be a mistrial. Tiffany Felder on Facebook said, I had a question too. Why not include it from the beginning? Exactly, Tiffany. Especially because they subpoenaed, and that was the judge's argument. The coroner's office, the Hennepin County Medical Examiner's office, was subpoenaed. So all of these records should have been turned over. So how did you all of a sudden, listening to the court case, wait, we do have that report. Why was that not turned over when you were subpoenaed with all your documents? Why was that not turned over then? So that is an excellent question. And I think the judge made a fair call. Now, me, Quentin, personally, would I have loved that to be introduced to the jury? Absolutely, because that does knock down the defense's testimony, right? Because I believe, based on what I saw, I do believe that Derek Chauvin killed George Floyd, that he's responsible for his death. But in a court of law, right? We got to put that thing in the context. In a court of law, you got to play by the court of law rules. And so that should have been included. So I think the judge made a fair decision because he has to be fair equally to the state who is bringing charges and to the defense who is George Floyd. Excuse me. Oh, goodness. Who is Derek Chauvin? Oh, goodness. They got me saying George Floyd on trial. Who is Derek Chauvin? So I think it was a fair call. Crystal Osborne, thank you so much. Donation to the vacation fund. Go back to Mexico. Now, baby, y'all know I love Mexico. Baby, be down there in the sun and just listen to that beach and then waves crash. I might have to do that. I might have to reboot and just go back down to Mexico. I'm going to have to do something to just reboot it all. So, guys, we'll stay up to date tomorrow. There won't be any court. There won't be any court. So that's tomorrow. Now, as far as my socials go, tomorrow I am taking the day off. I'll still post things like stories that come out on Instagram. I think we'll still do the show because I have a guest. Remember, I told y'all last week we talked to Carla Yarbrough, who was the strategic, business planner. Carla was fabulous. Actually, let me put her info back up. Y'all really should go back and watch that episode we did last Friday with Carla. So we talked to Carla. That's her IG and her website. Hit Carla up. She is doing wonders for me. Actually, I have a meeting with Carla tomorrow for my business. And so also tomorrow for this show, my lawyer, my actual lawyer, my business attorney, I asked her to come on the show as well. And so we're going to be talking about LLCs and trademarks and all that. And so I was going to take the entire day off, but I think I'll just take a social media break. But we'll still come and we'll do the show if my lawyer is still available to do the show tomorrow. We'll still do this show tomorrow, and we'll talk about the importance of like LLCs and trademarking and all those good things, because I'm trademarking some stuff here in the background. So, Lakeisha Lee, let me ring another super comment. Thank you so much. That's fine by me, Q. Put in your PTO. You got enough hours. And I thank you. I thank you because y'all don't like when I just be called when I call out sick. Y'all don't like when I call out sick. So I'm going to let y'all know when I put in that PTO. I'm going to let you know when I put in that PTO, when I take a little week or something and just go breathe again, something just to reboot my mind. So appreciate you, sis. Guys, that is it for tonight's show. Again, tomorrow, social media break, still be posting stories. You probably just won't hear my opinion on them, but we will come and do the show tonight if my lawyer is available, so we can talk about that. Very important stuff, especially if you're trying to start a brand or a business or anything. She's going to drop gems on why you need to be doing business contracts, non-disclosure agreements, differences between DBAs and LLCs, importance of trademarking, all that, copyright infringement, all that good stuff. So she'll be here tomorrow. So if Jesus says the same, I'll be here tomorrow. And we'll be talking. I love you guys in the Lord, and I will see you then.
A lot of people watched it, but nobody's watching day to day, all day, unless you're me and just love this stuff. Procedures are okay, but we want to know, where do you stand? And so I think the more that politicians stop trying to be politicians and be people, then that will engage voters.
We reject alternative facts. So come on in here and let me educate you on the facts.